All right, now that Donald Trump is the Republican Party's presumptive nominee, the campaign is working to pick a potential running mate. And on the short list, former Texas Governor Rick Perry, Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Senator Marco Rubio, and Jeff Sessions, the first senator to endorse Trump. So let's talk more about all of this with Hiram College political science professor Jason Johnson and director of the University of Virginia Center for Politics, Larry Sabato. All right, good to see you, gentlemen.
Good to see you, Fred.
And I can't believe I just learned this week that you all have a very beautiful relationship as Professor Sabato and student Jason Johnson. And
yes.
Now here you are on the same stage talking stuff.
The honor is all mine.
That's fantastic.
Larry taught me my first political science classes back at UVA.
I love that. Cool.
Fred, I just want you to know that Jason got an A, and he deserved an A+.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
He's always struck me as an A student.
He's gone way beyond me, Fred. Think where he'll be at my age. It's incredible to think about. Boggles the mind. We're real proud of him at the University of Virginia.
That's cool. I know he gives you lots of credit for much of what he has learned and what he knows.
Most definitely.
All right, so Larry, you first. Donald Trump, known for his element of surprise, shall we say. Do you think Trump will pick a running mate that, I don't know if anyone is making any predictions, but, will he surprise people? Because he has already hinted that he wants a real politico because he says, while business, that's his thing. He has that down. He needs somebody who really does know Washington or politics and how it works. So what kind of picture does that paint, in your view, about who he would pick?
Well, I think he will make a rational choice simply because he's already indicated he knows he needs some political and governmental guidance, and that's what a vice president can bring to him. Fred, part of the problem is a lot of the people who would do him the most good, say Governor Susana Martinez of New Mexico or Governor Brian Sandoval of Nevada, both of them, of course, Hispanic politicians, they're not going to run with him. Right. So he's got to find somebody who actually will join him on the ticket and be enthusiastic.
And that's the unusual or an unusual phenomenon. We were hearing from people who were saying, no, not me.
Right. Yeah, Fred, here's the criteria, because it's less about the person than the criteria. It's got to be somebody who already thinks that their political future is over. Because if you still think you've got 10, 20 years in the Republican Party, you are not going to connect yourself to this ticket.
So
that's why Rick Perry would do it.
Okay, well, how about like a John Kasich then? I mean, he had a beautiful speech on his departure, but what about his, I guess, political future, if not to be plucked for a position like this?
I think somebody like Kasich, he may turn around and change his mind. Somebody like Rick Perry might want to do something like this. I also think that Donald Trump likes to surprise people. I think, Janine Hampton, who's an African-American woman, Republican lieutenant governor of Kentucky, he might do something like that. Because what Trump thinks makes you a good political person may not be what anybody in Washington thinks. So I think this could be up in the air.
So, Larry, but what's the risk that any number of these candidates takes by saying yes to an invitation of Donald Trump?
Well, they're buying into the whole Trump package, past, present, and future, and they'll have to bear that burden to a great degree for the rest of their careers. Jason's absolutely right. This being on his ticket, if they don't win, if they win, vice presidency, maybe you run for president, but if you don't win, maybe you get a TV show and high speaking fees, but I'm not sure what else you get out of it. You'd better be toward the end of your career.
And I mentioned Chris Christie as, one of the other 16 who was running, for president. And then there's Marco Rubio. And apparently, there is some consideration about Marco Rubio being that potential running mate. This after some very harsh words between the two. But then last night, this is what Trump had to say about the Florida senator.
I'm in Florida, and I had a tough race against Marco, and I like Marco. I like everybody once it's over. I like people.
So Jason, what does that mean to you?
That means nothing because it's
Really?
Donald Trump. Look, he called him little Marco.
Infer, I'm open. Is he open? Here's a smoke signal.
Just because Trump is open. First off, Marco Rubio has a future, right? He could run for governor one day. He could run for president again in 2020. Why would he associate himself with someone who not just insulted him, attempted to emasculate him during debate?
And the insults went the other way around when Marco Rubio thought that would benefit
Exactly,
him.
later on. I don't see how that works. The same thing with Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has done very well. Ted Cruz would get him somewhere in Washington, but he also accused Ted Cruz's father of killing JFK. I don't think any of these politicians are going to be able to. They may turn over a new leaf and support Trump at the end, but being on his ticket and supporting him reluctantly are two different things.
But isn't it confusing, Larry, because I mean, it wouldn't be just Marco Rubio, but even Chris Christie and Bobby Jindal. I mean, the list goes on. Even Rick Perry, all of them have said non-complimentary words about Donald Trump. And a few of those that I just mentioned are now, like Bobby Jindal and Rick Perry, are now saying, I would throw my support behind him. So is that just politics as usual? Or is there something different about this in that there are Republicans, or at least those who are, there are Republicans who say, we've got to do something to unify the party because if we all say we don't like him and he's the presumptive nominee, then we got a bigger problem.
Well, you know, Fred, hypocrisy is truly the lifeblood of politics. And believe me, there's a lot of hypocrisy to go around in both parties. But politicians, just to mix metaphors, are ballet dancers. They can turn on a dime. And they think nothing of it. Now, it's true, all the record is out there, and all of this has been recorded, and it will be in TV ads no matter who Donald Trump picks, assuming the candidate has said negative things about Trump. But I don't know that that matters to Trump. How significantly controversial is that compared to all the other controversies surrounding Donald Trump? And the answer is not very, and I think this election is going to be about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, assuming she's a Democratic nominee, and the vice presidential candidates are going to fade into the background faster than ever.
Interesting. All right, this could be an interesting week coming up. You know, Jason, we're talking about House Speaker Paul Ryan and Donald Trump set to meet. What might that conversation be like, especially after what Paul Ryan said, you know, publicly, and what Donald Trump has said in response to what he said?
So I've been to RNC headquarters. I don't know if they have soundproof doors, but they should have them because that's going to be necessary because there's not a lot of love for Donald Trump there. And Paul,
it's out there. I mean, it was said out there.
It's out there. Reince Priebus isn't happy with him. Rand Paul, Paul Ryan isn't happy with him. They're going to have a meeting. They're going to pretend to be nice. Donald Trump's going to come out and say something vaguely complimentary. I doubt they're going to come out together and do a speech together because no one wants to be associated with it. And here's what's key, right? What Paul Ryan has to worry about is down ballot races. And a Trump presidency, a Trump nomination, actually, at this point in campaign, could end up hurting Republicans in the House and Republicans in the Senate. And Paul Ryan knows that, and that's probably what he's going to try and talk to him about.
And then, Larry, if voters have been saying, and remember it was Donald Trump who underscored this as to helping to define his success through the primary races, if voters have been saying they're tired of the establishment, they're tired of the same old thing, and then you've got Republicans who on one hand are saying, we don't like this guy, there's this anti-Trump movement, but then on the flip side, okay, he's our guy, we're now going to support him. I mean, that kind of double speak is another turnoff for voters, is it not?
Well, it is, and that's why Donald Trump said that Paul Ryan's questioning of whether he wanted to support Donald Trump actually helped Trump politically. I think that's probably true, at least with Trump's base. Now, in general, you do want party unity. It does matter whether a party is unified going into the general election or not. And look, Paul Ryan, what choice does he have? He is essentially the MC of the Republican National Convention in Cleveland. He doesn't have a choice. Either he's going to resign as the chairman of that convention, or he's going to have to embrace Trump.
Okay. Yeah, it's quite the quandary, isn't it? All right. Thank you so much, Jason Johnson, Larry Sabato. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Fred.